Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to be here with each and every one of you to talk about The Jedi, Chapter 13 of The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 13. Wow, you want to talk about an exciting episode that has a lot of people talking. Very, very cool, and I'm looking forward to each and every one of your thoughts. Of course, on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live, your opinion matters, and you get instant feedback to your incredible thoughts and insights into the world of Star Wars. Very excited to be able to not only have that happen, but be able to be a part of that and learn from each and every one of you. So thank you so much for that. We've got all of our friends here. Yes, thank you, Minta. I thought it was appropriate to wear the Ahsoka shirt. Joseph, welcome. Carter says, are you hiding in the cart? I don't even know what to say. Hello, Blake. How are you? Let's see who else is here. Merry Happy Mando Monday to you as well. Hello, Ian. Zach, good to see you, buddy. Tyler, I know you were fired up to talk about this. I know a lot of people are. Carter is working tonight. Oh, hey, man. You know we'll save you a spot. And, of course, if you can't see the show live, you can certainly watch it later on YouTube or on our Instagram page. Ross, good to have you here, buddy. Good to see you. Who else is here? Let's see. Hello, Terry. What's up, man? I know Mason is out there as well. And hopefully, hey, Jamie, good to have you. Jamie helped me with some audio stuff this week, which was very, very cool. It's good to have you here, my friend. New member of the CWK Alliance, of course, Jamie, which is really, really wonderful. We're thrilled to talk with you tonight. Let's just jump right in. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and look at Mando Monday stuff. I feel like there's a lot of important stuff going on there as well. Let's see what's brewing.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
All right, yes, Terry brought up David Prowse. Yeah, rest in peace to the incredible David Prowse. It's very important that we understand that David Prowse, yes, James Earl Jones is responsible for the incredible voice of Darth Vader, but so much of what we think of Darth Vader, how he walks, how he carries himself, his posture, his gravitas, is because of the presence and the persona that is David Prowse. He breathed Darth Vader to life, wearing that incredible armor for Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So truly, and he was a good man. He was a bodybuilder. He helped to train Christopher Reeve to get in shape to be Superman, which I just learned about the other day. And of course, our good friend Clayton Sandell did a great piece as a tribute to David Prowse as well. Be sure to check that out. Killian, good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right, so see, he's moving around a bit, still doing the job. Of course you are. You're a good man. All right, let's look at Mando Monday, some offerings. Not as many offerings. There are certainly no specific action figures like there have been. But on the left, we've got Target has an exclusive all-red Mandalorian Funko Pop, which I'm assuming that Ian, some of our Funko collectors, may have purchased. On the right, we've got yet another version of the child, but this one is remote controlled. Remote controlled, it moves its mouth. I think you can have it kind of walk after it probably rolls. I'm not really sure how that works. Speaking of the child, which of course we're going to talk a lot about today, Mason wanted me to tell you, my awesome, sweet little boy Mason, that he just lost his 6th tooth, and he wanted me to be sure to share that with each and every one of you. So very, very exciting stuff going on at the Zare house. All right, on the left, we've got the child. I'm going to say the child for now. And it's going to... See, I told you. Did I need a red chrome Mando? No. Did I get it? Of course. Ian, I knew you did, man. I would have been disappointed. Joseph wants to know if it eats cookies. Well, if it does, I hope they're very, very small bites. That's a good question. So this shirt on the left, I found I'm quite a sucker for things with the child and Christmas. No surprise. On the right, Adidas has a t-shirt line of things with the child on it, so I included that as well. On the left, we've got the Sideshow has their continued sculpts of of their, I can't even think of the name now. I'm like blanking out for some reason. Tyler says, "Congrats on the tooth loss, Mason." That's right. He's 6 down and perfect timing for the Tooth Fairy to show up tomorrow, which will be great. On the right, the child Adidas. The child looks like it's grimacing on the tongue there, but that's a new tennis shoe. Now look at these watches. These are pretty slick, very, very stylized and very, very nice. The one in the middle looks like it's got a blaster for the actual watch band, but the one on the left is a very, very clean, classic look with the silver, really, really nice. On the right, it's in gold, but it's got the armorer. Really, really cool. Thought that was neat. Okay, so these are a big highlight to some people in the Zero household. These are on Shop Disney. They are the child holiday Christmas pajamas. So, full disclosure, I did order these for myself, and I got a pair for Mason. I surprised him Thanksgiving night, so that Monday or on Friday morning we woke up for our Mando morning, which is what we call it when we watch the new Mandalorian episodes every Friday really, really early. He and I had matching pajamas, which I'm sure made Mrs. Hare so proud. And then on the right, they actually have one for dogs as well. Minta's debating those shoes. She says, "I don't need them, but I want them." There you go. If you do, let us know. Tyler says his dog needs those pajamas. I think that's right, Tyler. Adam's loving them. Good to have you here, Adam. Mary says we need a family PJ pick. Yeah, last year, Mary, we actually did that. Hannah Anderson sent our entire family some Christmas pajamas, and they're all matching and super, super fun. But I don't know if it's going to happen for this particular one. Blake says, "I don't even have a dog, but I'd buy my brother's dog, my beautiful nephew's, that is." Yeah, we'll see. They're pretty cool. They are pretty fun. What else we got? That was it. That was pretty much it. A really kind of a light Mando Monday this week, which is totally fine, obviously. So what's brewing in Star Wars? We're going to get to our top 5 moments from the Jedi. But I want to ask everybody really quickly because it may not come up specifically or we can dialogue about it. But I want to know what everybody thought of Rosario Dawson's performance as Ahsoka Tano. I'm going to talk a lot about it on the show this week. We're going to record it tomorrow night, so the show is going to be a little bit later. I have been releasing the Mandalorian reviews on Tuesday mornings, but this week I'm going to do it either late Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning because we had to readjust some scheduling stuff, which is fine. Gives us a little more time to think about what we want to say. We got some great guests that are going to talk about it with us. Dennis Keithley is going to be on, and so is Tessa Smith, so we're very excited about that as well. So Adams weighed in. He says, Ahsoka was decent, not great, but okay. Fair enough. Anybody else, what did you think of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano? For me, and I'll give you a brief hint as to what I'm going to talk about on the show, but I thought she did well. I thought she did very well. She's an incredible actress, but I had a hard time with it not being Ashley Eckstein, and that's something I'm just going to have to get over because that's the way it is. It's a business. I have no idea what happened behind the scenes or whatever, or even if Ashley even wanted to do it. I have no idea. I'm just saying for me, I think of Ashley Eckstein and Ahsoka Tano as almost synonymous, like Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. And that's why one of the reasons I'm wearing this tribute shirt, because I just think Ashley is great. And I wouldn't call us friends per se, but I certainly would call us acquaintances. And every time I see her, she comes up and says hello, gives me a hug. "Hey, Dan, how's it going?" And she was super cool to my wife at the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker last December. And she's just a really good person, and she's put the soul into Ahsoka Tano. So that was a challenge for me. And I just think a lot of people probably felt the same way. But what does everybody else think? And feel free to weigh on any of it. Ian says, "The look was great. It took me a few minutes to adjust to the voice, but I got there." Very cool. Tyler says, "It was weird not to hear Ashley as a voice, but otherwise I was in awe of seeing a live action Ahsoka on my TV." Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that too. That was really cool. Mary's similar to what I was talking about. We discussed this in the CWK Cafe, our Facebook group, which you can join if you haven't already. Mary's still conflicted. I am a little bit as well. Terry says her performance was better than expected. It had to be difficult to bring her character to life. It had to be really daunting, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, because you know how important Ahsoka is to the overall story. Minta said, "I thought she did the character well, blew me away." And that's good because I know you're a huge Ahsoka fan. So I'm glad to hear that, Minta. Blake is not a huge Ahsoka fan, tilting it the other way. So he wasn't really expecting much, but he thought Rosario acted wonderfully. She did. The makeup was really, really awesome too. Simbot, hey, what's up, man? Good to have you. He said, I thought she crushed it. It was weird not hearing Ashley's voice. Yeah, I totally understand. Totally understand. I empathize with you there. Carter said he felt that she did a great job of portraying Ahsoka's mannerisms. She portrayed the subtleness of the character and the braveness when needed. I will say that there were times like when she was folding her arms or the way she like released the ball and kind of rolled out her finger, like with a lot of grace and poise. I felt like it was an animated Ahsoka coming to life. So that part was great. But I'm still kind of working it out. And I'll talk about it a lot more on the show. See, Adam says it took a while for Solo, right? You know what? For me, I thought Alden Ehrenreich from the first second was Han Solo, a young Han Solo. I thought he nailed it perfectly right away. Because someone had said that to me before, but I thought Alden was perfection from the get-go. And everybody knows how much I love Harrison Ford. I mean, he's my favorite. But yeah, it was different for me with this one. Ross says, to me, Ashley will always be the original Ahsoka, but I did really enjoy Rosario, and I think she did an excellent job in the little nuances that make Ahsoka Ahsoka. I agree. Very similar to what I had just mentioned. But yeah, I thought it was good. I think for me, Ashley Eckstein is the soul of Ahsoka, and that was missing. And again, this is not taken away from Rosario Dawson, this performance, because I thought she's a professional actor and she's outstanding. Andrew, I felt I was never really worried about her ability to portray the character as more of the sound of the voice that felt weird. Fair. Zach, I am no Jedi. I loved every second of it. Oh, cool. I'm glad. I mean, we've watched it a couple times, and I'm going to watch it again before we do the big review show tomorrow night as well. Okay, next question I want to ask you before we get to our top fives is, what did you think of... Oh, wait, Brian's got something. He says, we met Ashley as well at Disney. Super sweet and great with my girls. Signed their shirts and called me Fly Guy. I mean, my day Rosario was great, though. That's great, Brian. And yeah, you'll never find anybody saying that Ashley wasn't awesome to fans. She seems to just have a photographic memory, and she's really cool. Josh says, the first time both sabers ignited, I lost it. Very, very cool. I'm glad to hear that. Now, what about Grogu? All right, we finally got a name for the child. I don't know if finally is the right word, because I don't know. I would have been fine just calling it the child the rest of fandom, but I mean, the child needs to have a name. Naming is important. Naming is powerful. I'm going to talk about that a lot on the show. But what did you think of the name? What did you think of the name Grogu? My son loves it. He has corrected me half a dozen times when I've referred to the child as the child, and I'm glad. It keeps me ready for the show. But what did you all think of the name, the final reveal of the name of the child? I'm sure it's going to come up in our top fives, which we'll get to in a second, but I wanted you to get a chance to weigh in if you want to talk about how you felt. Mary says it's an interesting name. Not exactly a ringing endorsement, Mary, but I understand. Adam says it's better than Yaddle. Zach says he loved the whole backstory and the tie-in to the Clone Wars. Totally. I love that as well. Anybody else want to share what they thought about the name Grogu? Grogu. I can barely remember half the time. Tyler says, it took me aback when she casually dropped the name. It's really grown on me since that reveal. I really like it. Terry says it's growing on him as well. Ian says, I really love the name. I love how he responded to hearing didn't say it even more. Also so glad it wasn't spoiled for us. I agree with that. Jamie says, even though we know the name, I still want Mando to call him Kid. I hope he doesn't, because that would be really bad, especially if he knows the name. But it would kind of be like Han and Luke. So we've kind of gone through that turf, but I know what you're saying. Minta says the name suits him. It sounds so adorable. Brandy, good to have you on the show. Grogu, I can buy it. We'll get used to it. Exactly. We'll get used to it. And honestly, there was so much anticipation and hype for this name that nothing can really live up to that. And that's fine. That's just kind of part and parcel of Star Wars. Blake says the name was still cute somehow. Do we truly get to know someone if you need... Wait, I'm going to try again. Do you get to truly know someone you need their name for us to grow closer to him? We needed it. I agree. Naming is important. It's a sign of intimacy and belonging and community. Andrew says the name made me snicker as though it was some kind of silly sounding, but then so does Yoda. And Yaddle, LOL, it's going to be hard to change my naming habits. Yes, I ran into a lot of challenges with that over the weekend. Brian says it was fine. I will still likely call him Baby Yoda, and that's fine. I think a lot of people will. Ross says, I not only like Grogu, but his reaction to hearing his name called is fantastic. Daniel says, Grogu just works. I'm glad. Andrew says, I'm so glad I didn't start with the letter Y. That would have been hard to swallow. I agree. And Joseph likes the kid. right? Like Jamie had said earlier. You know what? Let's just do it. We're kind of alluding to it anyway right now. Let's just go ahead and jump into our top fives. Top 5 moments from The Jedi. I will say this. It somehow got out there that the title of the new episode was The Jedi, which of course I knew what that meant. So I wish I didn't know about that, so I could have been sort of taken into it right away. Complete surprise, like when I saw Bo-Katan or the Child, but it worked. It works. Let's go ahead and get into our top 5 moments from The Jedi. Number 5 for me, Yoda's theme. Very, very, very briefly, when the Mandalorian is talking to Ahsoka in that little campfire, she mentions recognizing Grogu's species and says, you know, a master I knew, a great master I knew a while ago, a long time ago, his name was Yoda. And when she says that, you hear for a few moments, Ludwig plays Yoda's theme just for a couple of beats, but it was really beautiful, powerful. Like Dave has said, and when he says in the Vanity Fair article written by our friend Anthony Bresnikan, when Star Wars music is used from the films, it has to be used sparingly because it's more powerful, and that was a great use of Yoda's theme. So I really, really liked that a lot. Number 5, Moira in the tree. Yeah, how cool to see the Convor really quickly up in the tree. I said out loud, Convor! That was a cool one. Andrew says, hearing both Yoda and Ahsoka's themes mixed into the score. Yes, absolutely, tying into my number 5 a little bit. Ian, the opening sequence, it was very cool seeing Ahsoka and her lightsabers and live action. Awesome. Terry said that Ahsoka's character felt sort of dark in her intro scene. I kind of liked it. Yeah, and the way it was lit too. Pretty cool that in that Bresnikan article, some of that scene was inspired a little bit by the California wildfires. And it had an impact, of course, on Filoni, who said he had to move a couple of times. So that played into it as well. 5, opening with Ahsoka. I'm glad they showed her off the bat and it wasn't a build-up. It felt just right. And honestly, I wanted more of a build-up. I felt it was just too like, boom, there she is. But it worked for a lot of people, so that's good. And Terry liked it too. Taylor says, Beskar. I love seeing the Beskar hold up to lightsabers. The little scrap between Din and Ahsoka is really cool to watch. Yeah, Mason and I said, whoa, I guess Beskar can stop a lightsaber. That was unexpected. Definitely unexpected. Let's see. Ian says, Ludwig has really become a masterful Star Wars composer. I think he's outstanding. Honestly, I'd put him right below John Williams. I think he's just that good. I really do. Okay, let's see. Zach says, Michael Biehn, such an amazing actor. Yeah, he was cool. It was cool to see him there. He's got a real presence in this kind of thing. Meantime, when the Mando and the Child are trying to fix the ship and the little guy nearly gets electrocuted. What? Did you mean from the last episode? Ross says the Convor may be Moira in the forest watching Din Djarin before Ahsoka engages. Exactly. And that's just like Mary talked about too. Awesome. Daniel says, I noticed the owl on the second watch. Oh, cool. Brian says, finally got to see Beskar armor repel a lightsaber. Yeah, that was really awesome. Andrew agrees. Josh says, I really felt the panic in Din when Ahsoka struck. I did too. Like I've never felt like Din Djarin is outmatched or like he feels like there's a mismatch. But when he was fighting Ahsoka, you totally felt like in his presence, like you can almost tell he knew he was way out of his league, which you can never say about Din Djarin. Should have made a big reference. Adam, you'll have to clarify that a little bit for me, but I'd be happy to talk about it for sure. Let me see what Mason had for his number 5. Mason's number 5, he has the Beskar blocks lightsabers, like Brian and some of you had mentioned too. Oh yeah, Michael, thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Awesome. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4, top 5 moments from the Jedi. For me, it's Ketch. It's when the Mandalorian, once he says Grogu's name, he gives him the little top piece, the gear shifter, the knob, and it flies to him. I thought that was great. I thought that was it. And in fact, Major League Baseball tweeted on the Major League Baseball account, let's have a catch. And it showed that scene. And I thought, yeah, that is great. I mean, it's very symbolic because, I mean, there's so much father and son, these two. And the fact that they're, in essence, playing catch, although be it like the Force, was very, very cool to me. All right, let's see. Number 4 for Mason. I'll give Mason's right away. Mason number 4 is The Mando's quick gunfight, and this is at the end, when the enforcer puts his blaster down and pretends, and the Mando, quick gunshot, like a classic Western, takes care of business. Mason had that for number 4. All right. Number 5 for Daniel. The soldier type fighters in the beginning were great, very mysterious and menacing. A new costume for cosplay. Oh, yes. And Daniel, are you a big cosplay guy? If so, I'd love to have you share your pictures in the CWK cafe. That'd be awesome. Joseph says, Bug from Aliens, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. Carter says, Din Djarin probably would have told his whole upbringing that Jedi were evil Mandalorian slavers. Yeah, his whole life he'd been told that. So now so that adds into like him sort of feeling overmatched. So good call, Carter. I like that. Number 4 for Minta is the lightsaber versus Beskar. Number 4 for Mary, how proud Mando was of Grogu when he pulled the ball to him with the Force. Yep, just like my number 4. Number 4 for Andrew, Grogu dropping the stone in defiance. I see my own kids do the same thing when they were toddlers. and Grogu almost was like dejected too, like he just gave up. It was interesting to hear Ahsoka say that he'd been hiding his abilities for so long for survival, with like many through Order 66. Ian says, Corvus, this definitely wasn't what I had in mind when we learned this was a forest planet. There was a haunting quality to it, which I felt fit the episode, events of the episode perfectly. I agree. Again, talked about by that Bresnikan article, which is really good. Terry, the aura of the scene, sort of spooky, eerie, and mysterious. It gave the chapter a solid feel. Yes, for sure. I agree. Number 4 for Tyler, Grogu. The reveal of the child's name was pretty shocking. It took me by surprise in the best way. Yeah, it just kind of was stated subtly, and I was like, what? Josh, the 7th Fleet symbol on the assassin droids. Oh, good call, Josh. Very good call. I didn't notice that. Well, Zach, HK droids, reference to Old Republic. Yeah, I thought that was neat that they were in there, and the way the one kind of climbed up onto the roof was pretty cool. Ross, the clang of the Beskar staff, both when Djarin hits it against his armor and when the magistrate hits the ground before fighting Ahsoka. That was cool. That was super cool. Matthew, number 4, the quick draw. Yes, thank you. And Matthew, great to see you. Matthew's a good friend of mine from many moons ago, so it's good to have you on the show, Matthew. That was also Mason's number 4. Blake, just the overall art style of the episode had strong samurai vibes and strong Avatar The Last Airbender vibes, which I think Filoni worked on. That's correct. Part of how he got the gig with George. Number 4 for Daniel, reveal the Beskar staff the magistrate had. Definitely. Brian, the Tombstone reference, I'm your Huckleberry, count, out, draw, the best gunslinger. That's right. That is absolutely right. Okay, let's go into number 3. Number 3 for me is Grogu's reaction to hearing his name from Din Djarin. So when you hear the name, Grogu goes, eh? Or whatever. But then when Din Djarin specifically says Grogu's name, the child lights up. I mean, not literally, but figuratively. His ears extend and his expressions get wide. The puppetry in that was brilliant. I mean, award-winning level good. But it captured the emotion of Grogu seeing that his father figure knows his name and says it, and he just lights up. I thought that was so beautiful. I could almost get choked up for some reason thinking about that, but it's really, really lovely, really well done. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Got a lot of comments. I love this. They can't over-reference everything Anakin and Clone Wars Rebels, but did ask about their leader. Yes. I thought it was very well done, kind of loosely sparsed out, but it still allowed for the story to be told in a new way. So good point, Adam. All right, let's see. Where else are we here? You should see my screen. Everybody's commenting, which is so great. I love it. That makes these shows so much better. All right, number 3 for Minta, Grogu and Ahsoka communicating through telepathy, which we learn his backstory. That's a good one. I'm going to talk about that pretty soon. Tyler, the final battle, Ahsoka versus the Magistrate, was pretty neat. The choreography was a little bit clunky, but I love the samurai movie feel, the way it was filmed. Yep. I agree with every point there, Tyler, for sure. And you almost wonder if Ahsoka was sizing her up, because I never believe for a second that Ahsoka thought she was outmatched, because I don't. But she was definitely patiently sizing her up and showing restraint, I believe. Matthew says, not that many moons. No, not that many moons, but it has been a while. Mary, the visuals of the show, the mountains shrouded in fog or smoke, Ahsoka and Grogu talking in the moonlight in the magistrate's area. Yeah, there's some stunning visuals. Again, that article I keep referencing, but all the work they do with the lighting inside that arena, that area where they film for the Mandalorian. I keep thinking the Void. Maybe that is what it's called. I can't remember. Ian's I keep it around for luck. Love this line, which is pretty perfectly accompanied by Grogu's little snarky snort. That's true. I never thought of made like a conscious notice of that, but that is a good point. That is a really good point. Okay, who else we have here? Andrew says, Michael Bean. I kept telling Michelle, I know that's not Michael Bean, but it sure reminds me of him. And the credits rolled and we both had a good laugh. Yeah, that's cool. They're throwing a lot of great surprise casts in here. Zach says Thrawn, enough said. That's right. Joshua, definitely the reaction. Yes, the reaction was wonderful. Ross, the Wild West and samurai style standoffs occurring simultaneously. Yeah, that's true. That's good. That's kind of classic Star Wars battle too, isn't it? Like the Battle of Endor or what have you. Very good point. Terry, the soundtrack perfectly complements the scenes with small and subtle chords, both modern and classic. I agree. Daniel, when Ahsoka revealed herself outside the city and gave the magistrate the ultimatum. Yep, that was cool and surprising. Blake, the final showdown with Ahsoka and her samurai showdown, and Mando with his cowboy quick draw. Love it. Number 3, Ahsoka leaping over the wall, just effortless. Yeah, the stunt work was great on this one. Really, really great. Matthew jumped into 2. Oh, I guess everybody's jumping into 2. All right, well, I guess you want to move on. Let's see. I want to make sure I got everybody's number 3s. Let me get Mason's number 3 here. Mason's number 3 is Ahsoka's lightsaber ignition from behind. There's a gif about that. But she comes behind the soldiers and she kind of puts her sabers up and she turns them on and they just kind of come out together. And it lights up Ahsoka's eyes. That was just a really cool reaction. So good call on that, Mason. All right, my number 2, we're going to move on to number 2, is the name reveal. Not the name itself, but the powerful subtlety in the storytelling of the two of them looking at each other and Ahsoka with this very calm smile, which I thought was very, very well done by Rosario Dawson, and Grogu being very animated, and they were talking, conversing back and forth, because Grogu probably has not communicated with someone like that in a very long time. So it's cathartic, undoubtedly. But then she just says Grogu, just casually, matter of fact, and the Mandalorian's like, Grogu? She says, yeah, that's his name. The way that they did that was so classy and so well done. That's good storytelling, really good storytelling. Mason's number 2, reaction to the Mandalorian saying his name. So his number 2 is my number 3. So very awesome. All right, let's get to number 2s here from Samuel Matthew. Says the final battle. I thought Ahsoka may have been sizing her up, but then when she lost the saber, I sensed some anxiety. Yeah, I wondered about that too. And she thought, well, I better take this a little more seriously. Daniel says, when Ahsoka was conversing and testing Grogu, I noticed how green this landscape scene was. It was symbolic to Ahsoka's mission to do good. Nice call, Daniel. You're really nailing it. I love it. Adam says, no way a non-force user, she could force pull her saber right back, but didn't. All good. She could nearly match Anakin. Exactly. And that's, Adam, that's a good point. That's what I told Mason. I said, she beat Maul. Actually, I said she almost beat Maul, and then Mason corrected me because she did. And she did. And then she went toe-to-toe with Vader in his prime. So she could have beat the magistrate for sure. But I think it was underestimating it towards the end, but just sizing her up. Matthew's given us his number 1, the growing father-son relationship, which is great. To Grogu's name reveal when Din Djarin says his name and he reacts to it, that melted my heart. It's a great moment, for sure. Terry, Mando's quiet time with Grogu on the Razor Crest before he thinks he has to bring him back to the village. It shows his connection to him is much more than a task he has to accomplish. Very well said, Terry. This should be totally top 10. Yep, there's a lot here. This, it's hard to narrow these down sometimes, isn't it, Daniel? Mary's number 2, the music. Yoda's theme, Ahsoka's theme, and the lack of music at certain times, all striking and emotional. Definitely. Ian says, Grogu's conversation with Ahsoka. I love how this was done, even though we couldn't hear what was being said or shared. It was clear, based on the smile on her face, that Grogu was telling Ahsoka how caring Din is. It was sweet to see Din's nervous pacing. I thought that too. It was almost like a dad in the classic form of pacing back and forth in the waiting room, back in the 60s or whatever, when his wife was in labor, and that like they showed on so many TV shows back in the day. But it reminded me of that too. I'm glad you brought that up, Ian. Tyler's number 2 is Thrawn. The reveal of Thrawn being the master made me gasp out loud. It was so loud my wife laughed at me for a few moments after it stopped. Yeah. Well, it was sort of like, because I didn't know what they were going to say about who her master was. But I knew it would be serious if Ahsoka was that concerned. Andrew, the wide shot of Din the Magistrate in her garden, strong samurai movie vibes. Yeah, or Kill Bill, too. For sure. Josh, when Ahsoka lost one of her sabers and she reverse gripped the other one, I knew it was over for the Magistrate then. I agree, Josh. Because then it's like serious Ahsoka focus, like she did, when she learned to become a 2 lightsaber wielder. Like they did in Forces of Destiny, they show that moment that when Yoda and Anakin are teaching Ahsoka and training her. It reminded me of that. Tython and the Seeing Stone of the Ancient Temple. What stories will this unlock if they make it there? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, there's some deep cuts in this one. And even, you maybe saw this, but the close-up of Ahsoka's belt is the circle from A World Between Worlds. If you look at it closely, a close-up of it, it is a symbol of that World Between Worlds gateway, which was mind-blowing and cool. 2 for Brian was the Thrawn name drop. Another great example, like I believe Tyler just mentioned. Zach said Din versus Tano was brief, but I can watch it over and over. So awesome. And I like the look on her face when she's got the rope around her and she jumps over that light. That was cool. Blake, the soundtrack, the medieval rendition of the main theme towards the end blew my mind. The series takes risks from music to story and it all works. Yeah, it's incredible. She wanted information, that's why she held back. Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Carter says, Thrawn got an audible gasp out of me. This can lead to that. I'm trying to find out as well. Maybe Ezra knows what happened with the Darksaber. Also wonder if Thrawn is Moff Gideon's master. I wondered if Thrawn is around here, how he ties into Gideon. Aaron, good to have you, buddy. All right, it's time for number 1. Number 1 moment from the Jedi. For Mason, it's Grogu's name, the actual name of Grogu. My son loved, as I mentioned earlier in the show, he was making sure that we all knew it was Grogu, and I think he's got even more of an attachment to Grogu because of the name, which is pretty powerful and symbolic, for sure. Doesn't Ahsoka mentioning of Tython mark the first mention in the new canon? That is correct. Minta, Ahsoka's live-action debut, may I say more? Yes. Before I go to everybody else's, I should probably explain mine. Mine is this image right here. That image is spectacular. The way it's lit, the way it looks like Ahsoka Tano leapt out of the Clone Wars and into live action. I mean, that doesn't look like Rosario Dawson. That looks like Ahsoka Tano. And that was, look at the makeup on that in the lighting of her lightsabers and how they're able to backlight. I mean, I'm struggling lighting all this. I finally got some of the glare reduced on there, but now I've got glare on my poster. So, whatever, it's going to work itself out. Fortunately, I'm not, or maybe it's unfortunately, but I'm not making the Mandalorian. So this is just our fun little Facebook Live thing. But that image to me is about as good as it gets. It's a terrific image. It's my number 1. Even, with my my up and down on some of the things with this, which I'll get to on Coffee with Kenobi this week, you really can't beat that image. All right, let's get back here. We've got a lot of your comments. I mean to start off with the live action debut for sure. Tyler, live action Ahsoka, I thought her design was perfect, and seeing those live white sabers was incredible. I really hope this isn't the last we see of Rosario as Ahsoka. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Terry, the mention of Thrawn, Grogu's past, the original Jedi Temple, and the instructions Din has to follow. It opens up so many possibilities and creates more. You bet, my friend. Daniel, Ahsoka's saber ignition in the first few shots, I was like, yes, finally. Honorable number 1, when Thrawn was revealed, both my wife and I looked at each other and said, Ezra? I think Mason did too, actually. Ian, the dynamic and bond between Din and Grogu, to me, this is the beating heart and driving force of the series, and I hope it remains that way. I actually teared up when Din told him it was time to say goodbye. Oh, that's awful. Yeah. When I think they're going to say goodbye and Grogu is sleeping in the Razor Crest, as a dad, no. That's no bueno. So I'm glad it didn't end like that. Andrew, Din's pride and excitement when Grogu pulled the ball to him, he's become a dad. Yes, exactly. It's a very, very powerful symbolic thing. Number 1 for Mary, the final showdown going on at the same time, the Japanese-Western combination Poor Michael Bean dies in all big franchises. Yes, he does. By the way, isn't it nice that in The Mandalorian we have a positive example of a father-son dynamic? We don't have that in The Force Awakens, that's for sure. We certainly don't have it in the original trilogy until the very, very, very end. So it's nice to see it portrayed in this way. I'm very grateful for that. Joseph Thrawn, I leapt off the couch and celebrated with fists in the air. A lot of people are so thrilled about that. Good call, Josh. Or Joshua, I'm sorry. Brian, Ahsoka, all the action scenes looked amazing. Could not believe it. For sure. Ross, Ahsoka saying Grand Admiral Thrawn. It was cool that it was a similar way to Bo-Katan demanding information about Moff Gideon. Yeah, you wonder if it's all going to intersect. Blake says the reveals of Baby Yoda / Grogu's backstory for the story, it opens up many questions still towards his past and his future. It's masterful storytelling. It really is. And if I had honorable mention, it would be learning about his backstory and his connection to the Jedi Temple and the Clone Wars. I can't wait to hear more about that. Zach's number one, Tano, watching Clone Wars and Rebels and being such a fan of Filoni and his creation and his relationship to Lucas. Lightsaber igniting on a screen. I'm watching it again tonight. Yeah, I'd like to, if I don't stay up too late, I'd like to watch it again too. Adam, only Filoni and co know what happened with Thrawn and the kid stories for later. That's right. Yeah, there are a few people that know. But it's going to be, I know exactly what you're saying, Adam. And how cool do we get the chance to let them tell the story and let it percolate and breathe. And again, I'm so happy that Disney Plus does their episode drops once a week. It's just so much cooler that way, I think. Aaron was skeptical of Rosario Dawson, but seeing her in costume cured his fears. Well, I'm glad, Aaron. I'm really glad about that because I think a lot of people felt that way. Jay, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Jay says, watching the return of Ahsoka with my now adult daughter. She was a great character for my daughter to relate to in the Clone Wars. Got her hooked on Star Wars and gave us something to share. Well, how nice. That's so cool. I love that, Jay. Thank you for sharing that with us. Minta's honorable mention, Thrawn's name drop on the episode. I never thought I'd hear that name again. Makes me hopeful we might see him in the future. Yeah, and he means business. He's a hard villain, so it'd be interesting. Melissa, good to have you on the show. I like your background with the Falcon from Galaxy's Edge. She says it was an amazing episode. My favorite notes were when all of Din and Grogu's relationship. Let me get that back on there again. Still conflicted about Ahsoka, but I'll leave that part for another day. Yep, I think a lot of us are, and I think that's okay. Carter says, Tython, there's so much that can come from this. As a person who loves it when they pull things out of legends, make them canon. This is crazy. I wonder if they will witness all the horrors of the Yuuzhan Vong death from being there. If they will feel the horrors of the Great Schisms, the Jedi Wars fought on Tython. Plus, which is going to reach out and attempt to find a match. It could be Luke, Ezra, or any other Jedi that could pull out of the EU. Yeah, it could. There's a few others too, but I don't want to say. We'll see. Terry says, my honorable mention is Dave Filoni's writing and directing of this chapter. He doesn't write things into his stories without further following them up. So many subtle things is difficult to keep up. You're right, and Dave knows how to tell a story, man. He's such an example for so many. Aaron, positive father-son dynamics are becoming increasingly rare. I agree. In any media, you're right. So it's nice to see it here. Josh says, I think the Thrawn arc might be a mini pilot for an Ahsoka series. I don't know. We shall see. There's definitely a lot to get excited about. I'm pretty excited about next week's top 5, which is going to be top 5 moments from The Mandalorian chapter 14. Of course, we've only got 3 episodes left, which is definitely kind of bittersweet because we're having so much fun. Mason and I have the most fun on Mandalorian, or Mando mornings, as we call it, every Friday morning. We wake up extra early. I know I've talked about this before, so that's nice. It's been really fun. There's 3 left, and they're going to blow our socks off. We're going to check it out and see. So let's go ahead and jump into Ask Dan Z, shall we? All right, we've got a few minutes. I'm hoping to wrap up here in a little bit, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Again, I can't thank you all enough for your support of the Star Wars book and the questions I'm getting from it. I've done 12, 13, 14 interviews about it. I've got a few more this week and next week, but it's selling well. It's very, very exciting. There's a lot of great reviews. By the way, if you have the Star Wars book, if you've read the Star Wars book, or if you even glance at the Star Wars book, please go into Amazon and do a review. A 5-star review wouldn't hurt my feelings, but just be honest. That's totally fine. Because it helps. It helps get the attention out there. And also, if you're doing reviews, go on to Coffee with Kenobi on iTunes and give us a 5-star review there as well. It means a lot. The more reviews that you get, the more when people type in Star Wars and podcasts for iTunes, if they see a podcast with a lot of 5-star reviews, then they're going to say, oh, I want to listen to this and try it out. And I want more people to get involved here on Facebook Live and listen to the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube so we can get to 1,000 subscribers. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Everything you do makes a difference. Allows me to cover even more events, interview bigger guests. You know, my number one goal is to, well, I've already met my number one goal. You know, God is good. But I want to have Dave on sometime. So the more you can help add to the canvas of Coffee with the Company with all these reviews and following and all these different mediums, that is really, really good stuff. All right, so we've got some questions here. Mary says these episodes go by so fast. We'll have the gallery again, I believe. Yep. The gallery is returning. We're going to have more behind the scenes stuff. There's going to be a lot of good stuff there. Ian, what's up if I had any mixed nuts on Thanksgiving? You know, that's hilarious. If you heard our Thanksgiving pour over episode, you know what Ian's talking about. That's more of a Tom Gross question, but I did not. Do you think Ahsoka's persona was portrayed through well enough? Adam, I don't. I just don't. I thought Rosario Dawson did a wonderful job. I thought she looked the part. I thought her mannerisms were great. But that spirit, that quiet essence is missing. And to be fair, it's not. We have too small of a sample size. We had a small episode compared to 12 years of Ahsoka in animated form with a ton of backstory. So even though this is Ahsoka, it feels different because we're used to seeing her animated. So it's a good question, Adam. And I do want to reserve judgment and think that maybe I'll feel differently as time goes on. It's very, very possible. Very, very possible. Blake says, damn, man, have you been playing any Star Wars video games recently? Still playing Squadrons? I have not played Squadrons hardly at all, but Mason has played a lot. He's got through most of the game. So if he ever shares the controller with me, then I'll be able to answer that question. But in all seriousness, I love watching him play. It's really good. Ross says it starts on Christmas Day. Now, I did not know that, Ross. That's great. That's great news. Thank you for sharing. Tyler says the Star Wars book has been very helpful. I have some friends that aren't into Star Wars as I am, and it's helped me explain things to them. Tyler, that makes me so happy. Oh, man, that really, thank you for sharing that. That's so great. Do I plan to watch the original Star Wars Holiday Special? As far as I know, it's still looming on the web. You know, I have a copy of it. I've got a DVD copy of it. And I feel like I think Mason and I will watch it. Maybe Corey and Tom and I will watch it too. Just do like a pour over commentary thing. Because I only saw it once when it first aired, and it might be hard to get through. I have a hard time watching things that are bad. But I probably should just for entertainment value. Josh says, have you played any other type of Star Wars games, tabletop, cards, etc.? Yeah. I've got a bunch of different sets of Sabacc. I've got some stuff that Lucasfilm gave me. I've got stuff from Galaxy's Edge. I've got the Hasbro game version. I really like that too. Tabletop-wise, just like the classic Kenner games, the Battle for Hoth and the Death Star Escape. But no tabletop games per se, but Tom has. And Mason says, yay, nuts. Brandy says, looking for some Star Wars novels for Christmas gifts for my husband and 13-year-old daughter. What do you recommend? Great question, Brandy. I still think that Bloodline is excellent. I think it's the best Star Wars canonical novel out there. It's written by Claudia Gray, and it's about the story of the galaxy finding out that Leia's father is Darth Vader. It's extremely powerful. And it takes place, well, before The Force Awakens, right before the formation of the Resistance. But it's a great one. I think the High Republic stuff is good. I can't say anything about it, but there's some good stuff out there for sure. And Brandy and everybody else weighing on novels for Brandy to get for husband. Blake says, a pour-over commentary of the holiday special will be the best thing. I love the original. It's so terrible. It's good. All right. Noted. Craig says, Lost Stars. Craig, good to have you. Lost Stars is another good one. Another Claudia Gray. The relationship between the other people's opposing sides. Interesting comment. How does the Mando Monopoly game play? The Mando Monopoly game is great. It's great. Adam agrees with Lost Stars, but the Mando Monopoly game is awesome because you play the classic Monopoly, but it's way faster. And you put Moff Gideon and a Death Trooper and Stormtroopers on there. No, an Incinerator Trooper, and they follow you around, and if you pass free parking. You pick up the child, but if someone passes you, they get the child. And if a villain comes by, they grab the child. And the game can get over really, really quickly too. So it's great. I love it. I mean, it's like Monopoly, but it's a much, much, much faster version of Monopoly. I highly recommend it. Melissa says, not a question, but I must comment. I love your shirt. You have excellent fashion taste. I have it too. Well, thank you, Melissa. Yeah, you got to support Ashley and her universe. It's awesome. Me to remember seeing it on YouTube was interesting. I have to go back and watch again. You should. Hey, it's Becky Menken. Good to have you, Becky. Pleasure to have you on Coffee with Kenobi Live. Becky, of course, is she is in charge, the CEO of MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our official travel sponsor. We are big fans of Becky. She says, speaking of merch, I think I bought every other child merchandise option out there. I may have a problem. You might, Becky. You might need to talk to somebody about that. But there's a lot of great stuff out there. You got to be careful what you're navigating because there's so much cool stuff. And now that I know this, Becky, I'm going to be sending some stuff your way. Mary says A New Dawn is a good book. It is. It's the first one. It shows how Kanan and Hera meet. It's really, really cool. Craig says Kenobi, which is a great book. It's not canon, but it's a wonderful book. I love hearing Becky with Lou on the show. Yeah, you know what? Becky and Lou are a great team. They're really, really fun and funny. And having gotten to hang out with them in live action when Galaxy's Edge opened in California and seeing their dynamic in live, it's all real. That's exactly how they are in real life as well. And it's very, very entertaining. So that's great. Wow, what a great show, everybody. Love it. Thank you all so much for joining me this week on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live. We will see you next Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. No, you are not alone. There are so many of us that are all over this stuff, man. All over it. So yeah, next Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, be sure to join me. We're going to talk about Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be so much fun because of all of you. Next week, bring a friend. Bring members of your family. Bring 2 friends. There's plenty of seats available here in the CWK Cafe to talk some Star Wars with each and every one of you. Blake, you're making a friend, and Becky's a great friend to have. She's a lot of fun, a good person. Andrew says, speaking of Ashley and her universe, our exclusive holiday pin is available tomorrow morning for orders over $40. Thank you, Andrew, for saying that. Mary, you have a great week. Meantime, may the force be with you. Blake says, Dan, you're awesome, and our CWK family is the best. You know, we do have a great family. It's because of each and every one of you. And Blake, you're a big part of that, so thank you, man. Mary says, Mason, good luck with the Tooth Fairy. That's right. See you. I told you, buddy. I told you I wouldn't forget. Tosh says, thank you for everything, everybody. Best Star Wars community in the galaxy. So long, and good night. It was a total blast, Ian. Love having you. Have a great week, too. Brian, always good to chat with you, my friend. Daniel, we will see you next week, and I will see you all next week, too. And be sure to listen to Coffee with Kenobi this week. We're going to have a much deeper dive into talking about the child. Thanks so much, everybody. See you soon.